Hey, good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack here. Tuesday now, the 21st of October, 2025. Great to see you, everybody, on this fine afternoon as we discuss Tropical Storm Melissa. A lot to unpack here. That being said, I actually don't have that many tabs open because we don't know much beyond the next 5 days. That's part of it. And the last tab that I have from the National Hurricane Center, wait until you see that one and how I explain a certain part of their forecast process that I believe you will find, as I did, extremely fascinating and very helpful. All right, let us get started, shall we? First, the interactive map off the HurricaneTrack Insider site. Let's just back it out a little bit to give you some perspective. By the way, yes, there is an area over here. Low chance over the next 2 days, high chance over the next 7 of yet another tropical storm, maybe a hurricane at some point. We'll see. Good news, it'll be moving away from Mexico and Central America, so no worries there. Now, back to the main interest, and that is Melissa. First of all, let's use this red color here. Why is there a circle? What is the deal with that? Normally it looks like a cone that heads out in a certain direction or whatever, kind of like that, right? Not this time around. Why? Mainly, it's very slow moving over the next 5 days. That's the only real estate it covers. And this really eloquently captures the uncertainty in the forecast process. So when you see a big circle, slow moving and uncertain, lots of divergence in the guidance, that word divergence. Yep. So there you go. We'll come back to this map in a minute because I want to talk about some of the land masses down here. But first, a look at the Caribbean and vicinity. There is our tropical storm. Kind of disorganized, but slowly getting its act together. The center of circulation over here. Some deep thunderstorms moving in close to some of these big islands now. Even parts of Puerto Rico could get in on that. The ABC Islands down here. Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. All of these areas could be under the gun for very heavy rain. So back to the map real quick. This is the biggest concern right now. All these areas you see here, we call this the relief. That is a topographic way of looking at the mountains and all that kind of stuff. It's a geographic feature, especially along the Haitian Peninsula over here. You look at southeastern parts of Cuba, lots of mountains there. We slide the map over even more so we can go to the west. You look at Jamaica, also lots of mountainous terrain, and that is the big worry. Not the wind, not the storm surge, rainfall across all of these areas here could be excessive over the next few days, leading to some really, really big problems. I am not at all concerned about this becoming a hurricane yet. We can deal with that later, believe me. But the excessive rain that's coming, we're going to see it on social media. That's the power and the one positive of social media. Even in some of these countries that are, kind of having problems, we're going to still see it, believe me. All right, so rainfall is going to be a big issue. So we zoom in. You can see the somewhat disheveled appearance of the tropical storm. Now, it's going to be interesting if this dies out. That's the center of circulation, presumably. And you can also see some kind of spinning action going on over here, mid-level deal. Maybe this starts to take off and prosper, and this dies away. I don't know. We'll see. This is, again, going to be a very complex and long and drawn-out situation. But you can see how these deeper clouds are getting up towards some of the land masses to the north. Puerto Rico in the extreme right-hand corner over here, and then the Dominican Republic and Haiti eventually over here. So rainfall, rainfall, rainfall. Rain, a 4-letter word when it comes to tropical cyclones, and it sure is. We know that this will pass over very warm water. It is doing so now. It'll continue to do so. So the potential, if it does not curve out into the Atlantic like that and make a quick exit, if that does not happen and it ends up somehow, some way over in this area, yes, we could be looking at a very strong hurricane as the overall environment improves, but that's many days down the road. And that gets me to this little feature here, the last tab of the update. The forecast discussion from the Hurricane Center at 11 a.m. this morning, the very first advisory, we call that the advisory package. When that came out, the forecast discussion was really, really interesting. Mainly this paragraph, we'll highlight it for you, right through here, where it goes into the forecast track the current situation and the guidance down the road. I'm going to drop out of the frame because I want you to focus on this, and I'm going to enlarge it so we can all see it better. And I'm going to break it down for you because this is really, really interesting stuff. So the first part, the forecasters are discussing the movement, how it's moving quickly, it's starting to slow down, and it's going to gradually turn toward the northwest and then north into this weakness. And I'll kind of unhighlight things and then rehighlight them with the actual highlighter. The weakness in the subtropical ridge, that's what the GFS has been showing all along. This motion will likely take the storm very near the southwestern tip of Haiti, Jamaica, which is where we're really worried about big-time rain. After that time, the guidance diverges. There's that word. That's why we have the circle. Significantly, with some models like the GFS and the HWRF, that is the hurricane-specific model that uses the GFS as sort of a base, if you will, showing that motion to the northwest into the weakness, while, let's drop these out again, the other solutions show a stall or a westward drift on the south side of a building ridge. That's very important there, the building ridge. An examination of the GFS, global models, right, the Euro, and the Google DeepMind Ensemble Suite suggest that the majority of the members show Melissa not moving into the weakness and remaining in the Caribbean Sea throughout the week and into the weekend. And then this last part is the most important. So we'll stick with the red color here, right? The NHC official forecast track, or track forecast, lies between the Google DeepMind Ensemble mean track, and I think they needed a little ED right here, like corrected, so I'll add it for them, and the corrected consensus aid, HCCA. I will leave this with just that highlighted. What in the world is that? So, ladies and gentlemen, that is a very important part of this. The HCCA is the in-house hurricane statistical consensus model. It's corrected so that it kind of weeds out biases, and it uses like linear regression tools. It's very advanced. In fact, the model is so good that sometimes its forecast is better statistically when you look at track errors than the official Hurricane Center forecast track. And that's important because you can see this model on any of these track map sites that you see that plot the spaghetti models. You see the TVCN and other ones, and HCCA, bottom line, that's what you kind of want to watch. And I think it's really interesting that that's what they're going with. So this gives us a big clue as to what to look for going forward. Let's just find that HCCA on the Tropical Tidbit site or whatever site you might be using that plots all the different consensus models, and that is often going to lead the way to where we think this is going to end up, we being all of these computer models, and this does a great job of kind of blending all of that. And so whoever came up with this is just a genius, right? Certainly above my pay grade. So it's a very interesting way to look at all of this, and the HCCA looks like it's got a pretty good handle on it. It's like basically taking track and intensity from the dynamical models, like the GFS, the Euro, UK Meta, all of that. It like weighs them all together, each model's contribution, and then you get this beautiful blended forecast that takes into account, again, the biases and the past performances, and it squeezes out this refined juice, if you will, that is the HCCA model. I think it's fascinating and a great way to kind of interpret all of this, and that is how you can get a forecast that looks like this in what is otherwise a very uncertain, divergent overall track guidance environment. Fascinating stuff, isn't it? I think so. Bottom line, we need to watch all of this closely for all the reasons that I just highlighted for you. Number one is the rainfall. Over the next many days, we will figure out one way or the other where this is headed, and we will just take it from there. All right? All right. Well, that is it from me for today. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. From all of us at HurricaneTrack, thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll see you again tomorrow.